I'm not saying I planned it. I'm just saying I didn't stop it. Sometimes that's all it takes. When someone drops 66 luxury condos on your lakeside land without so much as a phone call, and you're the only one around who remembers the water swallowing this place whole, well, you stop thinking like a homeowner and start thinking like a quiet witness to karma, to nature, and to the weird sense of irony that shows up when nobody listens to the old-timers. Yeah, I'm that guy, the one who smiled while everything sank. Before you judge, ask yourself, what would you have done in my shoes? Drop your answer in the comments, because I genuinely want to know. For 2 decades, my world was peace itself. A retired insurance adjuster with a log cabin on the shore of Lake Crestview, I had everything I needed: books, a fishing boat, a porch to watch sunsets from. I minded my business and left the rest of the world to mind theirs. Then one March morning, the universe rolled up with a vengeance, a convoy of pickups, a white Lexus with a license plate probably worth more than my boat, and enough construction equipment to build a mall. At the center of this circus, Vivian Sterling, chairwoman of the Lakeview Elite HOA, dressed in a suit that probably cost more than my first car, walking up my driveway like she owned the lake. "Morning, Leo. I trust you got our notification about the new development project," she chirped, as if we were old pals. I nearly spit out my coffee. Development project? On my land. Before I could process, her crew was unloading survey stakes, spray painting my 100-year-old oaks like they were lining up a firing squad. "Ma'am, this is private property." I tried, my voice barely hiding my panic. That's when Vivian's smile went sharky. "Did you read your purchase contract, Leo? Page 23, subsection 4.7. HOA development rights over 60% of waterfront properties." I felt the bottom drop out of my stomach. I'd read contracts for 30 years, but mine? Guess I got cocky. She flipped through permits, environmental assessments, plans. It was a legal avalanche, and I was buried. "It's all ironclad, honey," she cooed, voice dripping with false sympathy. "Think of it as bringing civilization to your corner of paradise." I stood there, watching them hammer surveyor stakes into the roots of my favorite oak, feeling like a fool. Orange excess appeared on my trees, and I remembered, vaguely, the old stories, the time the lake rose higher than anyone thought possible. But I couldn't place it. Not then. The next weeks were hell. I barely slept, haunted by the sound of chainsaws and heavy equipment at dawn. Every lawyer I called shook their head. "Airtight. Leo, you signed it. Nothing to be done." The city wouldn't help. "Private contract, sir." The clerk droned, her eyes glazed from years of similar complaints. Meanwhile, every morning, trucks rolled down my lane, tearing out woodland, flattening the shore. I watched from my window as they loaded the oak tree, my tree, onto a flatbed like it was nothing more than firewood. That's when the real torture began. 3 days after the tree was gone, I got an HOA violation for grass height. 3 inches instead of the new aesthetic max of 2.5. $50. Next day, my boat, which had sat undisturbed for years, violated some brand new docking limit. Bird feeders, suddenly unauthorized wildlife attraction. $400 in fines by week's end. I lost it, kicked over a box of violation notices, papers flying everywhere. But as the mess scattered, an old photo box tipped over, spilling memories across my kitchen floor. And there it was, a picture of my cabin, 1995, sitting in the middle of a brown inland sea. The Great Flood. How had I forgotten? The lake had risen 8 feet, swallowing everything. My dock gone, trees like fence posts in muddy water. Suddenly, it clicked. These geniuses were building million-dollar condos exactly where water had claimed the land before. I called Vivian, hands shaking, told her I wouldn't fight anymore. "Build your condos. I'm too old for this stress." She was thrilled, thought I'd surrendered. But truthfully, I was betting on memory, on nature, on history repeating itself. Next morning, I showed up at the site with coffee and a fake smile. The foreman, Mike, looked stunned as I offered to help, played the part of the helpful neighbor to perfection. Soon Vivian was asking my advice about everything: where buyers would want units, what features to highlight, even construction timing. I told her honestly. People want to be close to the water. They love basements for storage and coolness, and summer's the best time to move in. What I didn't say? That close to the water means in the flood zone. That basements become swimming pools when the rains come. That summer, around July, is when the water likes to remind everyone who's really in charge. Vivian trusted me more than her own engineers. I watched her dismiss concerns about foundation height, telling her team, Leo knows the buyers, trust him. By the end of 3 months, 50 out of 66 units were built at the lowest elevations, right where the flood had hit hardest in '95. Sometimes I wondered, should I spell it out? Should I wave the old photos and shout, "You're building on borrowed time"? But I stayed quiet, figuring that nature would deliver the lesson if nobody else would. Grand opening was a circus. White tents, catering trucks, politicians, news crews. Vivian in a white suit, beaming for the cameras, selling dreams about state-of-the-art flood protection. I walked over with an envelope of those old photographs. Found these cleaning out my attic. The Great Flood of 1995, I said, handing them to her in front of the crowd. Panic spread as people saw the pictures. Water up to the windows, docks vanished, debris floating where the condos now stood. Shouldn't buyers be told about this? Someone asked. Vivian pivoted, smooth as a politician. Modern engineering, folks. Ancient history. Our systems are bulletproof. The crowd calmed, contracts got signed, and I was written off as the cranky old man afraid of progress. Then the weather changed. A tropical system parked itself over Texas, the lake rising every hour. Day 1, rain. Day 2, downpour. Basements flooded, pumps failed. By day 3, the lake was at the exact level as 1995. I watched from my dry porch as families scrambled, luxury cars floated, rescue boats navigated the chaos. Vivian tried to live stream reassurance, but the flood burst in behind her, sweeping away any pretense of control. It was over. Nature always gets the last word. When the water receded, the real storm hit. Investigators found that Vivian had deleted flood history from the reports, embezzled funds meant for safety systems, and gambled everything on no one remembering the past. The HOA went bankrupt, her political dreams drowned. She was arrested, fraud, negligence, you name it. The ruined development was declared a permanent flood zone, now a protected preserve. My property rights restored, the HOA contract erased by city council. Just like none of this ever happened did I sit on my porch now. The lake peaceful as ever, the shore lined with wildflowers, a memorial sign where the condos used to be. Reporters ask if I'd do it differently, if I'd warn them louder. I still don't know. Maybe I was the villain. Maybe just the guy who remembered. Either way, nature has the last word. So, you tell me, did I go too far or not far enough? Drop your thoughts below, and if you've got your own HOA nightmare, let's hear it. Because sometimes, the only way we learn is the hard way.